Today I'm working on my FLO 60mm rear wheel, and I need to replace the bearings, the sealed bearings. So these run on 6802 bearings. They're the same on both sides, and you don't want to mess with that green seal at all. You don't want to press anything against it. If you have anything like a socket that pushes on that green seal, you're going to ruin the sealed bearings. They will not run smoothly. Trust me, I know this from experience from doing it wrong. So I have a Wheels Manufacturing drift set, and I made a video about this a year ago, and I had a cold at the same time too. Kind of funny. I was just watching that video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this drift kit up with this. I'm going to put in the first bearing on the drive side. Sorry, the non-drive side. So really quickly, I'm going to explain how this bearing set works. This is a 6802, I don't know what you call it, part of the drift set. This is also 6802. This is also 6802, which is useful when you have a deeper hole to mess with. So what you're going to do is put the bearing here, and then you're going to set it up in here, and we're going to press from both sides. So now I'm going to go set that up. Okay, now I have it set up, ready to press. So you can see that silver part right there in the middle of the screen. That's the bearing. Then we have the 6802 piece right going through that. Then our handle that's going to press it in. Then on the other side, I have the 68.2 short piece, the 68.2 long piece, and the other handle. And all I'm going to do is screw both handles together, and this will very smoothly press in this bearing into this spot here. And the whole point of a bearing press here is to just smoothly and evenly from all directions press it in. So you don't press on one side and get it jammed and don't get it settled in correctly. So that's what I'll do. All right, so now I'm going to, I borrowed an extra set of hands, so I'm going to give it a go and start pushing it in. See, it's very easily and smoothly just, and actually I don't even have to turn the other side, so just keep turning it. There, and it is firm. I push on both directions, it is firmly set in there. So this is the bearing that was just seated, and it's nicely in there. So now that we have this bearing in on the non-drive side, I've put in the axle. So the axle makes things a little bit different. We can't use the same spacer or drift. Where did it go? So this here is not going to fit over the axle. So we need to use this, the 6802, that has a larger diameter. That's going to push in this bearing on the drive side. But we need to create enough space so that we can actually push this in. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to set up these spacers so that I can push in the bearing down into there. So the bearing's not in yet. That's what we're going to do next. So I've set up the non-drive side with the 6903 spacer, and this does not go into the hub at all. It's just, a ring. And this goes over here to give me more space. Okay, I'm going to set up the other side. Alright, so this is the drive side. I've already put the 6802 bearing and slipped it over the guide, over the axle, and it's ready to be placed. Ready to be seated. So I'm going to put the 6802 drift. This is the one on my finger here. That's the one that's going to guide it in. So there's the 6802. Then I'm going to use a series of spacers just to give myself enough space to be able to twist the handles. So it doesn't really matter what it is, but this is a 6902. This just has enough space to get over the axle. Then another spacer to get over the axle. In this case, it's the 15mm SS. And then finally, a spacer called the speed spacer. Again, those don't really matter as long as they give me the space to be able to set on the thing. So I already showed you the non-drive side, so this is the drive side, and now I'm ready to screw this on. So here we go. Just a little bit of pressure. I mean, it's not hard for me to turn. And then I feel it set firmly in. Okay, that feels good. Now in the videos I've watched, if for some reason the other side came a little bit loose, when you're putting everything back together, when you're cranking down your end caps, it will settle in a little bit if it came a little bit loose. So this is good. I can't turn it anymore. So we've set in both of the sealed bearings on both sides of our FLO 60 2016 version wheel with the 6802 bearings. This will give you a further visual representation of what was going on. This was on the non-drive side. We had the 17mm socket, a spacer here, which in this case was the 6903. Then we have our 6802 drift that's actually going to push that bearing in, and then our 6902, our 15mm SS, and our speed spacer. We just turned. This actually pushes against the outside of the hub. It doesn't actually go into, doesn't actually touch the bearing. I would need two of these kind to be able to do that, because if you recall, this, the one that I used to seat the bearing on the non-drive side, this won't actually fit over the axle. So can't use that. Anyway, that's a representation of what's going on in the previous section of the video. Now I've added some grease, where the clicks and the pawls will go down there next to the bearing. Tried very carefully not to touch the seal on the bearing, so that will mess it up. Check my pawl springs. This is a brand new Freehub. You can see that there, I think, are 2 bearings inside of this Freehub. And since this is brand new, I'll have a total of 4 brand new bearings running in my wheel, so hopefully it'll run a lot better. I'm just going to get this on here. And I might have to use the old floss trick, but we'll see how it goes. Now the hub is all back together. I don't have the cassette on yet, but it feels like butter. It really is smooth. And I want to thank FLO. What happened that I had to redo all this is I had a pawl spring that broke inside the Freehub, and it was making a terrible noise. It basically turned my bike into a single speed during the ride, as the pawls were not working correctly. Also damaged the the sealed bearing, and it was really hard to get the bearing out. I was having trouble getting the bearing out. I asked FLO for advice, and they decided to send me a new Freehub, new bearings, a new end cap, and a new axle. Really kind of them. This is not a new wheel. This is not under warranty. Had it for a long time. Have about 15,000 miles on it. So they stand by their product, and I've been really happy with this FLO wheel. In fact, I bought a second set, and built a power tap hub into that one. Haven't made a video. Probably won't make a video for that, but that's my first wheel build thing. And so it's fun working on these wheels and learning how to do it yourself. Anyway, thank FLO for their very nice assistance and generosity. So that's putting in these bearings, sealed bearings, inside this hub.